The testimony of Bradshaw in the Horizon Fujitsu post office inquiry is so stressful to watch. Bradshaw saying, well, I believe that people were given plea bargains on condition they accepted that Horizon would not be blamed for any of the problems, that people were taken to one side and promised that they wouldn't be prosecuted if they pleaded guilty or if they paid money, that he was accused himself of having an unbearable attitude, that he sat in on people's questioning, and that he ignored all the many telephone calls that they made to the Horizon helpline. It's one thing after another. The Janet Skinner case is particularly harrowing to hear, and being told or hearing and telling people that they were the only one. He said that he'd never threatened anyone with prosecution. He said it was completely wrong if people from the post office told submasters and postmistresses that they were the only one. I can categorically say that I never said that, but he doesn't say it never happened, does he? And he denies hounding victims, but he doesn't say that victims were not hounded. And I think that's a very interesting fact. There's a story of the person who was taken up in a ridiculously small lift, and then the extraordinary story towards the end of the day, where apparently there was a person called Della Robinson, and Della was talking to Bradshaw, and Bradshaw sat her down in an empty canteen and said, off the record, we know you haven't taken the money, but the worst case scenario is you'll be prosecuted. And he simply says, well, we never had that conversation. I wouldn't say anything like that because it's not my decision. It's such a stressful catalogue of evasive contempt. And what I didn't realise is there now seems to be a tally, 900 convictions, of which 93 have been overturned. 4,000 people, over 4,000 people seeking compensation, £138 million paid out so far, 1 billion expected to be paid out, and all this lasting over 24 years, a quarter of a century. And still the government can't get to grips with this. And still the government is using Fujitsu products. And still nobody has faced prosecution for the sort of pressure that has been put on these victims. And still there isn't a blanket statement that because of the process, because of the failure of the system, because so much of this prosecution was based on intimidation and a faulty accountancy system imposed on these people. Because of this, these convictions should simply be overturned on the basis of procedure alone. These people should have their reputations restored simply on that basis. They shouldn't have to say that they're innocent. They shouldn't have to go through any court cases to prove that they're innocent. The court should recognise, and the government should recognise, that all of this nonsense was based on a faulty system and extremely aggressive post office management and post office manipulation. All that should overturn all the prosecutions, every single one of them. And I don't think the government has quite gone that far. And I think that's why some of the some of the sub-postmasters and sub-postmistresses are pausing before they accept the government's deal, because it's not quite what it should be.